and welcome. I'm Eric Gao, and here's what happened this week. Taiwan's largest ever weapons expo is back for the first time since the COVID pandemic. The military has doubled down on unmanned systems and drones as part of the country's future defense strategy, taking inspiration from the war in Ukraine. Our reporter Hsieh has this report.
Taiwan's next generation of drones on display for the first time. It's been 4 years since this weapons expo was last held at Taipei's Nangang Exhibition Center. But now it's back, and the big focus this year is on how drones are changing the future of warfare.
The greatest single utility of drones we've seen is about putting eyes on the battlefield. They are essentially flying cameras, and they're very useful in that way because it allows you to essentially use an uncrewed system for something that at one time would have required you to send a soldier forward.
Drones have changed the calculus for militaries across the world, especially for countries like Taiwan with limited resources. They're cheaper than a fighter jet and easier to operate.
不管是形式或者它作战运用，日新月异，而且速度非常快。我想这一点是非常值得台湾学习、跟警惕和借鉴。那尤其我们又面对了这么强大的一个对手，所以说无人机是一种标准的不对称战力的发挥。
Asymmetric warfare means using smaller, mobile systems to counter larger, more expensive things like fighter jets and tanks. Taiwan faces the threat of invasion from China and has been looking at an asymmetric strategy as one of the best ways to make sure it can defend itself. And one source of inspiration has been Ukraine and its fight against Russia's invasion. Ukraine has been using drones not only for reconnaissance, but also to attack Russia's soldiers. And now Taiwan is looking to copy part of that strategy. In recent years, Taiwan's military has been looking to develop its own drone capabilities, producing drones of all different shapes and sizes and functions. This one here is one of Taiwan's largest combat drones, and it's already deployed by the Air Force, and it's used to monitor its coastline. Earlier this year, Taiwan announced it would create a new fleet of drones. Part of that initiative would see several commercial drones upgraded to military standard, equipped with state-of-the-art cameras, advanced sensors, and communication equipment.
But it's also going to need things that have more of range as well, particularly that could operate over the Taiwan Strait. So I would really be focusing on capabilities that you could use to both provide intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance over the Taiwan Strait, to identify targets, and also to be able to strike.
Taiwan is developing a variety of drones, many of which will be armed and will help support troops on the ground. The country is optimistic that mass production will begin soon, and for Taiwan's military, one thing is certain: these machines will play a crucial role in national defense. Andy Hsieh and Hsieh for TaiwanPlus.
Japanese Prime Minister Kishida Fumio has picked a pro-Taiwan politician to be his new defense minister as part of a cabinet reshuffle. Kihara Minoru, a former lawmaker, led a cross-party group promoting Japan-Taiwan friendship. The new cabinet also has 5 women members. This includes the new foreign minister, Kamikawa Yoko. Meanwhile, Japan has reportedly appointed an active government official to serve as the defense attaché in Taiwan. That role is traditionally held by a retired military official to avoid angering China, which sees Taiwan as part of its territory. The latest move indicates that Japan is putting a higher priority on defense ties with Taiwan. Japan and Taiwan do not have formal diplomatic relations, but Tokyo's interests are represented by its exchange association in Taipei. As China increases military pressure on Taiwan, it's also trying to woo Taiwanese businesses to its shores. It's revealed more details of its plan for an integrated development zone with Taiwan. Louise Watt reports.
This is one of Taiwan's outlying islands of Jinmen. They're so far away from Taipei that from them you can see the Chinese city of Xiamen. Now, China wants to use Jinmen to boost integration between its coastal Fujian province and Taiwan, a self-governing nation that Beijing nonetheless claims as part of its territory. China wants to accelerate gas, electricity and transport links between Taiwan's Jinmen Islands and China's Xiamen city. It also wants to build a cross-strait high-speed railway and give Jinmen shared use of a new airport in Xiamen.
厦门金门呢，地理相邻，我们对在厦门的金门居民实施呢同等享受当地居民待遇的政策，率先推进呢基本公共服务的均等化、普惠化和便捷化，着力打造呢厦金 同城生活圈。
The announcement comes as China increases military pressure on Taiwan and as the democratic nation gears up for presidential and legislative elections in January.
希望能够拉拢金马的民众到中国去发展，策略上其实某种上有试图想要影响这台湾的选举，有介选的这样意味。
China has long threatened Taiwan with the possibility of military invasion, while at the same time trying to entice Taiwanese with business opportunities. The Taiwan government agency, which handles relations with China, said, as we all know, China is seeing an economic downturn, sluggish consumption, and soaring youth unemployment. Its large real estate developers are seeing financial crises. There are systemic risks in the financial system, and the operating environment for businesses continues to deteriorate. This concept is clearly intended to attract Taiwanese funds and talents to China to boost its domestic economy. Observers say China's proposal may fail.
I think where it will get stuck is while Taiwanese firms continue to have an interest in the China market, they are also interested in risk management, which means diversification. And also for Taiwan citizens, the question is, even if there are short to perhaps medium-term benefits of living and working in the PRC, the question is whether it's a place for them to stay in the long term.
Taiwanese companies have long seen China as a way to make money, but that interest is waning, given a slowing Chinese economy and the increased military tensions. Against that backdrop, the proposed integrated development zone may be a non-starter, unable to bridge the many differences between Taiwan and China. Patrick Chen and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
In local politics, Foxconn founder Terry Guo was the last of the main candidates to announce his run for president, but he's the first to unveil his running mate. Ed Moon has his pick.
Taiwan's billionaire presidential hopeful Terry Guo has only just recently entered the race to be the country's next leader, but his team have quickly got to work, gathering the almost 300,000 signatures needed for him to enter the race as an independent candidate. And today, they've taken another leap. They've named their VP candidate, actress Tammy Lai, who recently played the role of president in a hit Netflix series about Taiwanese politics.
我相信朋友看到我站在这里，眼睛瞪得比嘴巴大，心里想赖佩霞，你搞什么鬼？
While Lai is famous as an entertainer, Guo is best known as the founder of Foxconn, a company that made most of its money in China assembling Apple's iPhones. With his VP pick, Guo steered clear of the business world, but they both agree on the importance of maintaining peace with China.
台湾其实很有钱，只是都把钱放在国外，主要是因为两岸不稳定的局势，让他们不愿意冒险。
What Guo hasn't done is chosen someone with previous political experience to be his running mate, and that might leave Taiwan's voters wondering whether a Guo Tammy Lai ticket has what it takes to be running the country. At the moment, Guo is trailing in the polls behind the ruling party, the DPP's Lai Ching-te, the opposition Kuomintang's Hou You-yi, and the Taiwan People's Party's Ko Wen-je. Guo will hope his VP choice can raise his numbers and give his campaign some momentum. Joseph Wu and Ed Moon in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Meanwhile, fellow presidential hopeful Hou You-yi has arrived in the United States for an 8-day trip. He'll visit several cities, including Washington, D.C. and New York. He's set to meet with members of the U.S. Congress, think tanks, and journalists. Hou is running for the opposition Kuomintang in January's presidential election. He says his trip is proof of his commitment to democracy.
这一次的访问，也期待美国能够持续对台海区域的稳定和平给予更高度的关注，并协助台湾对印太区域自由经济贸易的参与。
It's time to act now or face a dire situation. That's the warning from childcare advocacy groups to the country's presidential hopefuls. They want candidates to come up with policies that will stop the country's population from shrinking further. Leslie Liao explains.
Overhaul childcare systems and more flexibility for parents in the workplace. That's what civic groups are demanding from candidates in the presidential elections in January. Several advocacy organizations came together to lay out what they think candidates should push for in their campaigns. Taiwan's low birth rate is a growing problem for the country, and these groups say that Taiwan's next leaders will need to have a plan to deal with it. Specifically, they say the country's childcare systems and rules for working parents need to be improved to turn things around.
到2021年，人口的负成长更加的严重，高达接近3万人，是直接跟2020相比翻倍了大概3倍以上。
So what exactly do these groups want? First, more flexible parental leave at the workplace. The current policy only allows new parents to take 1 month off at a time. But the groups say more flexible leave can offset the anxiety of dealing with child-related emergencies. The groups also want working parents with children under 3 to get 1 hour off each day, making drop-off and pick-up times at daycare more accessible. Right now, Taiwan's law allows this flexible hour, but it's unpaid.
等于家长每天减少1小时工时，然后接送小孩没有那么大的压力，但是薪资又不会减少。
Finally, the groups are calling for a more consolidated daycare and kindergarten education system.
我可以0岁开始送到这间学校，一路就读到6岁，而不需要在中间2岁或3岁的时候转换机构。这个对现在很多家长都是，尤其从小读托婴中心的小孩的家长是一个很大的痛苦，因为托婴中心到满3岁，我一定会被赶出去。
And these groups made it clear that the country's low birth rate, one of the lowest in the world, is a dire situation.
因为我们的研究也显示，从各种数据上已经可以发现，此时此刻应该可以算是台湾最后可以翻转跟改变的机会了。各个执政的人、执政的政党应该拿出决心跟魄力。好，真正的去掌握那个执行的方向。
The policy proposals may seem extreme, but the groups say that other countries have already implemented such measures and to great success. And they say there's no reason why these changes shouldn't be able to work here either. Lee Sun and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
Foreign Minister Joseph Wu has told tech tycoon Elon Musk that Taiwan is not for sale, after Musk said that Taiwan was an integral part of China. Here's Musk's own words from a summit in California.
Their policy has been to reunite Taiwan with China. From this standpoint, maybe it's analogous to like Hawaii or something like that, like an integral part of China that is arbitrarily not part of China.
Musk went on to blame the U.S. for blocking what he called China's reunification effort. Foreign Minister Wu took to Musk's social media platform X to stress that Taiwan is not part of China and, quote, not for sale. He also took aim at Musk on other issues, like his refusal to open Starlink satellite internet services to Ukrainian troops during their counteroffensive against Russian forces. There could be travel chaos during 2 major upcoming holidays. Train drivers are planning to go on strike during the Mid-Autumn Festival later this month and the National Day long weekend in October. They're protesting plans to make the government-run Taiwan Railways Administration a private corporation by next year. The drivers say the move will endanger their rights as employees and threaten train safety. The central government says it is working to resolve the situation.
这段时间我们跟行政也做一些充分的一些沟通大致都往正向来走了所以想说整个应该不会有不加班的一个状况
Taiwan's water woes are over, at least for now. After a summer of drought and water shortages that caused millions of dollars in agricultural losses, reservoirs are mostly back at capacity. 3 recent typhoons, one of which was the first to make landfall on the country in 4 years, refilled almost empty reservoirs in the country's south. Taiwan's water agency says people should still conserve water to avoid future shortages. Thank you for watching Here's What Happened. Before we go, check out these images of a U.S. World War II bomber recovered from the seabed of Malta. I'm Eric Gao. Take care and see you next time.